Hey, Black Like Me podcast family. Is it just me? Am I crazy? In the midst of COVID-19 and the world pandemic, we still are going to find time and space to lynch a black man for jogging in a neighborhood. Hey, listen, I was just so undone that I created a piece called "A Picture is Worth 1,000 Words." We created a video to go with it that we'll link inside this podcast, but we're going to play the audio recording of it because I just needed to respond. And I know the two white men have been since taken into custody, but can a brother catch a break? So I want you to listen to that. Now, it's been said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Why is it that when marginalized people, African American people, mobilize and protest, we're considered dangerous, a threat, disorderly, vicious, and menacing? And why is it that when marginalized people, African American people, bring this to the public's attention, white men demean us on our own Facebook pages, calling us divisive, race baiters, and reverse racists? I live in a parallel society where I, as a black man, cannot fathom standing at a rally at a state capitol without a permit, mind you, fully armored as if for war, while brandishing semi-automatic weapons and not be seen as a threat, hence arrested or worse. People often ask me, well, Alex, what does your community want? It's not that difficult, people. We want justice, and not just for ourselves. We want justice for all. We want our constitutional rights too. So white men can show up on a state capitol looking menacing and then sleep in their own beds that night. But Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia can't go jogging without being shot to death because he was deemed a threat for defending his own life against his own killers. He didn't make it to his own bed that night. I live 866 miles away from where Arbery was shot, and it's caused me fear in my own neighborhood. If we don't want two Americas, two societies, and two realities, then we can't continue to have two sets of rules. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and this piece is only 300 words. What will you say and do when you see injustice? What are your 1,000 words when you see this picture, this collage? And speechless is not an acceptable answer. Nehemiah and Justified Anger exist to make our community, our society, our nation better by assuring that African Americans are treated justly in every sphere of life, and that non-African Americans refuse to rest until that is the case. A picture is worth 1,000 words. You know, one thing you may consider as our Black Like Me listeners is repurposing this video. Tweet it out, text it out with your own comments. What does it make you feel like when you see these kinds of things? Because it's really important that we, Black people, people of color, hear the voices of the white community, particularly those who say that they're woke, allies, or supportive. We need to know, what do you say? What do you feel? What do you think when you see these things? And at the end of the video, we've created a link to a resource on nehemiah.org. It's the Join the Struggle button. And it's a way that we can help people to understand how to gather their thoughts, how to educate themselves, and be prepared to respond when they see injustice. We want you to check that link out also. Hey, you know, I didn't even know that being born behind prison bars was a thing. But today's podcast guests are going to blow you away. And we think that it's so appropriate to release this particular episode a few days after Mother's Day. And hey, we can extend Mother's Day, right? Mothers deserve it. Sit back and listen. You are going to just be spellbound as Jackie and her son, Julien, talk about their relationship and their triumph over mass incarceration on this next episode of Black Like Me. Hey, good people. Grits or cream of wheat? Who the hell is racist? Does anyone ever ask could they touch your hair?
Black like me. You're listening to Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G., a podcast that invites you to experience the world through the perspective of one Black man, one conversation, one story, or even one rant at a time. Here's Dr. G.
Black like me. Hey, good people. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G. Listen, I keep telling you all that we're bringing you good stuff, great stuff, exciting stuff, thought-provoking stuff each week on this podcast. This is my special Mother's Day edition. And I have on my show a wonderful mom and her great son. And we're going to talk about their story in just a little bit. And I'll give you the background just a little bit. But my special guests today are Jacquelyn Hunt and her son, Julien Walters. How are you both doing today?
I'm good, Pastor G. Thanks for having us.
All right. Julien, how you doing, young man?
I feel great this morning, blessed to be alive, and I'm happy to be on the show.
I'm glad you're on here. Now, Miss Jackie.
Yes.
I know you probably listen to some of my episodes. We can't just jump into business and not break you through the black icebreakers. You gotta, and Julien can be your lifeline. No, hold on, wait. I'm going to ask Julien and let you be his lifeline.
No.
Because you know, I found out, Jackie, I found out that my black icebreakers are not necessarily age sensitive, because some things that we just know, our young kids don't know, which means we dropped the ball, Jackie. We have not had some of this stuff.
No, they just weren't listening.
Okay, they were just listening. So, Julien, young man, grits or cream of wheat?
Say it again?
Grits or cream of wheat?
Oh, grits. Grits, easy.
Grits? All right, Julien, with butter and sugar or butter and salt?
Butter and sugar.
Come on now, Julien.
Butter and sugar.
Come on now, Julien.
Easy,
Jack, you dropped the ball. That's how you eat it. Hold on, wait. Let me see if Julien.
All my kids do sugar. I don't know where they got that from.
Let me see if Julien, how deep this really goes. Julien, have you ever ventured into putting your scrambled eggs over into your grits with butter and sugar?
Oh, yes. I mix them all the time.
I call it a grits bowl. Like, I don't even use a plate anymore. I get the grits on the bottom, I put the eggs and the bacon, and then break my toast over in it with some grape jelly.
Oh, I ain't even tried that, but that's definitely sounds
man, the sausage
great.
Stuff. Okay, I got you. No. Julien, when you were growing up, did you ever get syllable spankings?
Yeah, like, did not tell you not to, like that, when they break it up like that.
Julien.
Yeah, I got one of those one time for accepting a soda.
Oh, see.
My mama told me to stop letting people buy me things, and somebody bought me a pop from the Boys and Girls Club.
You know what?
And I think that was just one of those things where I had a lot of things that I had mounted up, and then I was just like, because that sounds petty, right? But at the end, it was the last straw. And
you know what? Old folks used to call it, when I get you, I'm gonna get you for old and new. That means they've been storing it up. Julien, do you know what it means to split the pole?
Actually, no. I need a lifeline on that. What does split the pole mean? Oh, is that when you walk and everybody like, don't split the pole because it's bad luck? Like, and you walking with your friends, and everybody got to walk on one side of the pole.
That's right. That's what it. Yeah, Jackie's getting all the points for you. Let's see what else. Julien, do you have you ever seen a straightening comb being used?
Yeah, they use it on my hair when I used to have braids.
I still got one.
One time I went to school, and I think I was in 3rd grade. I had just transferred to Lincoln from Falk Elementary, and I went to school with my hair straight. And all the people in my class thought I was a girl at first.
That hot comb, what did you ever get? Have you ever been burned by a hot comb?
No, luckily I had some people who knew what they were doing. But I didn't been burned by perm grease. My mom permed my hair and had me on fire. She said, "No, you got to sit there and let it sink in."
Oh my God, that's like the scene from Malcolm X. How many now and later flavors can you name?
I can name green apple, the green one, and the yellow one, and that's it.
Okay, the yellow one, Jackie. What flavor was the yellow one, Jackie?
Banana or lemon.
Oh, banana. It was banana, actually.
They had banana and lemon. Both of those were yellow.
Got you. Julien, what day of the week does Soul Train come on?
I need a lifeline, but if I had to guess, I would say Sunday.
Okay, Jackie, when did Soul Train come on?
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Julien, how many of the Evans children on Good Times can you name?
Just JJ.
Jackie,
Selma.
Jackie, you got to sing one of the lines of the Good Times song if y'all gonna get a point on that.
Good times. Good times.
You just gonna say Good Times over and over.
Right.
Just looking out of the window.
Oh yeah.
Watching the asphalt grow.
Oh God.
Then it goes Good Times.
Now, since we on this subject, did you like what was your favorite like black family show? Like, did you like the Cosby's, Good Times, or what was your favorite? I
love Cosby's. Cosby's was more in college for me, but Good Times was when I was a kid, and I love Good Times. It was.
I love Julia.
Oh, you can remember I Love Julia with Diane Carroll. Yeah, what's her son's name?
That was my boyfriend. Corey Baker.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Julia. Yeah, Julia was, Diane Carroll was beautiful her whole life. Her whole life. So Julien, I would say that, and Fat Albert. Fat Albert was a popular cartoon. Let me see, I think I got one more for you, Julien. Were you told as a kid that you had to be on the porch before the street lights came on or before the sun touched the top of the trees?
Yeah, I was not like the street lights, but I had to be home before it got dark outside.
Okay, I got you.
Because sometimes in the summer the sun would be down, it'd be like dark blue in the sky, and the street lights would be on, and I would max that out. But before it was dark, I would definitely be in the house.
Jackie, older black women would wear something called a duster. Do you know what a duster is?
Me?
Yes, I'm going to switch you, Jack. What's a duster, Jackie?
It really is like a house coat that's got short sleeves and snaps down the front.
Now looks like you're wearing one right now. You wearing a duster, Jackie?
No, I got on my shirt.
I think nowadays, Jackie, they call them moo-moos or something, but they don't call it duster.
I got moo-moos. My sons know what moo-moos are.
Got you. So, Julien, do you know what to do if you eating fried catfish and you get a bone stuck in your throat? You know what the old folks used to give you to get that bone out your throat?
You got to tell me that one.
Jackie, you got a lifeline. Jackie, how do you get a fish bone out your throat? Y'all remember this?
Bread.
What kind? Y'all got to talk just a little bit louder.
Bread. You got to eat a piece of bread.
What color bread? What kind of bread?
Well,
white bread.
White bread.
White bread, because it was thick and doughy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you, man. So, Julien, got to remember that if you.
But you know what, Pastor
someplace.
Look.
We don't even.
Because of my experiences with catfish and bones, my kids don't have that.
Because that's just traumatizing. I got, because you know what? Fish bones in your throat was traumatizing. Go get that water. Go. Oh my goodness. Okay, Jackie, last thing. Did you, your mom, your dad, your grandmama drink ice cold water out of a mason jar?
Absolutely. It was and Kool-Aid too. Like that was the best water ever.
In a mason
jar.
Out
of a mason jar. In a cup couldn't do it. It had to be a jar, that glass. And some about that thick mason jar glass. That just, I guess it helped the ice. I don't even know, but
that was the black people's thermos bottle. That's what it was, and it had that little metal jar.
If you brought my grandmama water in a cup or something else, yeah.
No, that didn't go over too well. Oh my goodness! Did your grandmother mother somebody would say, "Go outside and get me something to beat you with," when it was whooping time, Jackie?
Absolutely. Go on out there and get me one of them switches out that tree.
Yeah, I can't relate to that one.
You can't. And Jack, I think this is the last one. I'm having fun with y'all. See, Julien, I don't usually have people on in my age group so they miss some of these. Jackie, complete this statement, and I need you to speak loudly so the Black Like Me family can hear you. Finish this statement. I ain't got to do nothing but stay black and when you're a kid, you tell somebody you got to do something. You say, I ain't got to do nothing but stay black and die. Those are the two things I got to do. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Thank you. Julien, one day we got to just sit you down and talk about these old stories. Well, Julien, let me tell you why we do this. Whether I'm interviewing people from the East Coast, the West Coast, the North, the South, we answer these questions the same. We know what a duster is. We all say white bread on fish bones. And the white listeners are intrigued that we know this and we haven't all grown up in the same area, because the proof that we were never destroyed as Black people is that we created culture. And the fact that we were hundreds of miles from each other and we still knew these things, no social media, no texting, no posting. We all knew this. It's almost as if it was some type of Black telepathy or something like this. It's just crazy. But 2 weeks ago, somebody asked me, they said, ask Dr. G to ask this question on the air, because it's white folks just say they're oblivious to it. So I've been asking Black people, have you or anybody in your family ever put Clorox bleach in dishwater? When Jackie, have you, anybody you know, ever put bleach in dishwater?
Absolutely.
See, white people just trip. They're like, wait, it never even occurs to us to put bleach in your sink. And we're like, people got germs. Listen, pre-COVID-19. Listen,
right.
Black folks might not have had that much, but we kept it clean.
We had bleach.
We had bleach.
For everything.
Listen.
Cleaned off for everything.
Listen, come on. That ammonia. Listen, my nose still burns when I say the word ammonia.
Look,
Black people
Saturday mornings, Pastor G.
Come on, Saturdays.
Clean up. Mop the floor, clean out the tub, clean out the sink.
Sweep the front stoop.
Oh my God. Scrub the back stairs.
That was cleaning day. That was, Jackie, remember
God.
this last thing. I'm going to get off of this. My producer going to be crazy. Jackie, do you remember what spring break used to be called when we were kids in Chicago? I lived in Chicago until,
Clean up week.
It was called clean up week.
Wow.
We were kids. It was not called spring break. It's like,
nobody going on no break nowhere.
Nobody knew what spring break was. It was clean up week. You would go home and clean up.
For the whole week, every day you
week.
had a different chore you had to get done. Watch them windows. Watch them walls.
Come on, clean them screens.
Basement. I was just like, I hated roofers.
It was like, oh my goodness. It's like they loved it. Like parents today don't really like spring break. It's like, oh, it's spring break and the kids gonna be home. But back in the 60s, it'd be like, oh yeah, cleanup week is coming. Oh yeah, cleanup week is coming.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, that is so wild. Absolutely. So listen, thank y'all for that. That's probably the longest Black Like Me icebreakers I've ever used. But it's great to have somebody who's who's part of my generation, who just understands those things. And again, we grew up miles from each other, but having those common memories just shows the strength and the beauty of Black people and our culture. Hey, listen, you all, I told you that this was a special family edition. Let me tell you a little bit about my guests, and then we're going to get into their stories, and you'll begin to understand why it is I'm so proud of them. Jacquelyn Hunt is a licensed therapist. She just recently, I saw it on Facebook today, is the award recipient of the Nan Chaney Social Justice Award. She's on several nonprofit, boards of trustees. She is a keynote speaker. She's a community activist and organizer. She has been counseling before she even had a license to do so. She is a new author. She has written a book that's called Redeemed Through Recovery. And the subtitle is A Powerful Story of Resilience, Reconciliation, and Restoration. It is really, really powerful. And I'm going to put a link in this podcast so you all can buy it. But listen, being impressive runs in the family. Oh, she's also the principal counselor of an organization she started called F.O.S.T.E.R. And this is what we know about F.O.S.T.E.R. that she's a clinical substance abuse counselor and a licensed professional counselor, but she also is responsible for providing a wide array of culturally competent, recovery-oriented, trauma-sensitive, direct clinical services, reaching out to individuals and families and counseling. She is a bad girl. We're going to talk some more about that. Her son, Julien, is a scholar and an athlete. He was named to the first team JUCO or junior college All-American teams. I'm trying to see if I can get all of this straight, because this man got scholarships and played all over. He played for played basketball after high school for North Dakota State College. Am I getting that right, Julien?
Yeah, College of Science. Yeah.
A College of Science, East Tennessee State, North Carolina Central, and most recently played professional ball overseas. Is it Goga or Gaga?
Goga, yep, Goga in Albania.
I love this quote about you, Julien. it said that your 51% clip from Beyond the Arc ranked you 5th in the nation among your colleagues. And we have not even talked about your academic All-American honors as well. And so, man, you rock and have done so many wonderful things. And I just wanted you and your mom to talk a little bit about your relationship, about you're proud for her as a mom, because with all of these accomplishments, there's something very tremendous about the power of a mother's love. And so we're just going to jump right into this. Miss Jackie, let's just tell the people, Julien was born how many years ago?
25 years
okay.
ago.
I just need y'all to come up just a little bit closer to the microphones too.
Okay.
Because just a little bit.
All right. So Julien was born 25 years ago.
And
he was born.
And where was Julien born?
He was born to me at while I was incarcerated in Ellsworth Correctional Facility, but he was born in a hospital actually.
But
in Racine, Wisconsin. Yep.
But you carried this tremendous young man. I mean, all these accolades I just read, but you carried him in prison.
Yes, I did. And he was born prior to my release. So he was immediately placed in foster care once I delivered him, and I was sent back to prison.
How much time did you have with Julien before you were sent back to prison and he was sent to foster care from the hospital?
2 days, I think 3 days they allowed you to stay in the hospital after you delivered at that time. The first 2 days, I kind of didn't want to bond with him because I knew that they were going to take him away. And then on the third day, when I realized that I was getting ready to go back to prison, I just needed to see him, to hold him. Mm-hmm. And the foster parents had already picked him up. And it was like too late. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, I went back to prison, like dripping liters of milk. I couldn't keep my towels clean enough to wrap myself up to catch the milk. It was horrible. One of the most depressing times of my life. I didn't know postpartum depression back then, but I sure know it now.
You counsel about it now, I'm sure.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. But that story had a beautiful outcome because the foster mom who had taken him immediately didn't wait for someone to reach out to her. She reached out to the warden of my institution and made special visits for me to have with Julien when it was convenient for her to bring him in, which was Wednesday afternoons, which was outside of the normal prison business visiting times.
Right.
But she negotiated that, and I was able to have 2 hours with my baby boy every Wednesday right after I got out. Yeah.
You know, Jackie, I've known you. We've been friends. I've been your pastor for decades. I don't think I knew that part, that the foster mother brought him up there. I just got chills. The hair on my arm stood up when you said she reached out to the warden and brought Julien there. And so you weren't new at being a mom. No. I mean, you had Romy and Jaquisha and Geneva.
Yeah.
And so this wasn't new for you. It was the first time you carried a baby, delivered a baby while in prison. And it's almost as if you just said, enough, damn it. I'm getting my kids, I'm getting my family. It's like something kicked in. You struggle with stuff, but that motherhood, that Black mama, that thing kicked in. And not only did you hold Julien and spend time with him, did they let you hold him on those Wednesdays? I mean, was it a contact visit?
Like, he's yours. You do this, you do that. She would make me change his diaper. Like, she was like, he's yours. I'm just taking care of him for you. We want you to be successful. Like, so that whole visit, I was goo-gooing and gaga, and Julien had this thing where, he was just a special baby. He was so good.
Oh
Like
my
it was
goodness.
just you couldn't go to the grocery store and pick a better baby off the shelf. Seriously, I hadn't had that part though.
That was new. All right. Oh, I hope Jaquisha and Romy and Geneva aren't listening to this. No, I hear you. I hear you. But you know what? He probably knew he had to do something special. How much longer? And I'm going to bring Julien in just for a moment. But Jackie, how much longer was your sentence after Julien was born?
I had Julien February 21st. My sentence was 4 years. I ended up serving 13 months. So I got out July 26th, I do believe.
Okay.
Because my warden, again, was amazing. And she negotiated for me to be able to come back to Madison to a program called MIP, Maternal Infant Program, through ARC Community Services, where you are able to have your infant child under the age of 2 and receive AODA treatment, alcohol and drug counseling.
Oh my gosh, Jackie.
So, yeah.
And we need to tell those stories because Wisconsin has a long ways to go in terms of making its Department of Corrections and its criminal justice system more equitable. So when I do hear stories of where wardens do what helps people to recover.
I had a black warden.
You had a black warden. No. That's it. No, listen, this is serious. People need to hear this because you're right. This is where cultural competence comes in, white folks. White people who are listening to Black Like Me, you're leaning in. This is why we talk about diversity, because this is done for white mothers. Like, they didn't make up a whole brand new rule. But when you have no cultural competence, it's easy to say, well, she's a dealer, she's an addict, and we got to see if the baby's addicted, and we don't know if she's safe, and she can't have visits unless somebody else is there. And you jump through all of these things, and you fast forward, these 25 years, her son's playing professional basketball, a grad student, fine, upstanding young man. You're a licensed clinical therapist and counselor, and basic instinct that you had, but a warden who believed in you and believed that could happen, put things in order so that you could be here today. And so when we talk about diversity, we're not talking about quotas. We're talking about people with cultural competence who could look at a mother and say, you know what? If she gets that baby, it just might make her turn around. If we take that baby away, this might be her lifeline. So what do we have to lose? Let's do something that's right. Julien, let me pull you in for a minute. I'm a historian and storyteller, so this always touches me. Do you remember how old you were when you understood the circumstances surrounding your birth?
I think my mom waited until I was old enough to explain it to me. The funny part, and actually the beautiful part of this story is my godmother was my now godmother was the foster mother who took me in.
Wow.
And so we continue to be a family even after, just because of her involvement in this situation in my life. And my mom deemed her my godmother. And I say all that to say, as I got older, I would continually go there and visit that family in the summers. And I don't know what age I was, maybe 10, 11, 12. And I asked my mom, how did she choose her to be my godmother? And, the dynamics of that relationship. And I think that's when she explained to me, the beginning of that story.
Is she Black or white? I never heard this part of the story.
She's a white woman.
Pastor G, you Chris and Julien, and they was there. Remember Diane and Terry, the white couple? It was Jerome and Teresa and Diney and Terry.
That's them.
And her husband Terry. They were at Julien's christening.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. So Julien, you've always been a good student. You sang in our church choir as a kid. I still got pictures. I sent you one last week. I still remember you always funny. Wearing suits, wearing your chains outside, having braids like down your back, like having your hair in cornrows. So you was a cool kid. But Julien, back then as a kid singing in the choir, man, we didn't know that you were going to be a scholar. I mean, we knew that you were sharp, but we know that you're going to be a scholar, that you're going to be an All-American athlete. So just walk me through your journey pursuing your dreams and how your mother supported you through that period of time. So I just think it's amazing, man.
Yeah, so my journey has been one of many highs and lows. Um, but I stayed resilient and persistent and stuck with my dream. And I think a lot of that has to do with, waking up, being in the same house as my mom and seeing how she displayed those same characteristics all through my childhood, kindergarten through 8th grade. Since I touched the basketball, I was the best player on my team. Coaches raved about me, other coaches raved about me. And I was probably deemed one of the up and coming young players in our city.
Mm-hmm.
And then high school came, and high school was my first test, my first obstacle, and my first real um, adversity. The first time I went through adversity. So my first 2 years were fine. Played JV, played a little bit of varsity my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And then my junior year came around, and it was people in front of me, or who the coach thought was better than me, or just fit the system more in regards to my playing style. And that was the first time I was really like, I didn't enjoy basketball because I wasn't playing. And I was practicing and I was giving it my all. Every summer I worked super hard.
Right.
Always been a hard worker. And that was the first time like I wasn't a key contributor or a star player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurt a lot because I knew that I was better than people playing, but I just couldn't understand at that time the different roles that was needed or that our coach saw fit for. And it changed my game a lot, and it changed my confidence a lot because up until that point, I was very confident. And so that was a really hard year for me, my junior year of high school, when my mom was really there for me and just kept telling me, what I'm saying, what God, my most memorable quote from my mom is, what God got for you can't no man take. And that's just something that I live by. I continue
Wow.
to live by. And that was something that resonated with me really that year. And she had been saying it my whole life, but and I grew up in the church and things like that. But when you start to go through things that affect you personally, that's kind of when I really began to develop my own deep relationship with God. I want to say my
Yeah.
junior year of high school. And moving along, my senior year, I ended up being all conference, collecting
Right.
a host of accolades, having a great year, bouncing back from that junior year funk. My mom pushed me through that. And then moving along, I went to prep school out in Baltimore just to, I wasn't quite mature enough for college yet. So I did a prep school year in Baltimore, and that really grew me. And that was the first time I had been in an environment that was, quote unquote, the hood. I remember my mom, yeah. So I went out to Baltimore, and everybody thought, oh, he's going to a prep school and yada, yada, yada. He's going to be in dorms and he's going to be in a good area of Baltimore. And when I got there, I was the first kid. I was the first kid at our team house, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm talking about for the listeners, the Wire. Like I was in that area of Baltimore, like Hampton Avenue. Look it up. Like my mom, and when I get done talking, you can ask her how she felt when she came to visit me and when she saw what she saw. Like it wasn't the worst part, but I wasn't in those suburbs.
I thought you were in the suburbs with on the grassy knolls of a New
Grass
England
wasn't cut.
campus.
Grass wasn't cut. The front porch had, what I'm saying, stairs was missing. About 10 of us in a 5-bedroom home with the with a chaperone, whatever the guy they
Sure.
hired to take care of us. Yeah, so we had somebody there with us. It wasn't all bad, but the conditions wasn't just gold plated. It was culture. And I also realized in this instant that I would do and go to the furthest extent to see my dream come true, because that was an uncomfortable situation for me. And I know that was an uncomfortable situation for my mom. But the bottom line was I was eating every day. I was working out every day. I was getting better. I was going to school. And as long as I was doing those things, I didn't care what you could have put me on Mars. You could have put me anywhere. The environment didn't matter because I was locked in on what I was trying to achieve. And and that built character in me because I was in a situation that I had never been in before. I learned things that I still carry to this day, just about how to maneuver through life, see people, you know what I'm saying, see people a mile away, you know, just see people who might not have good intentions. And it grew me outside of the game and grew me as a man.
You
Because
know,
I didn't have
Julie,
those.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I was proud of the fact that you made that decision, that you said you sought it out. I never heard of it. I remember saying, Julian, now explain this to me again. So this is not a college team? And you said,
No,
yeah, you were trying to
exactly.
explain it to me. I was like, okay, is this like junior college? And you were explaining like what happens there. And then
Yeah, it's like and it was like it's a transitional period, and it's for people who might have been under recruited. I had teammates on my team who had offers from big time universities already, but they needed to get a higher SAT score. So
sure,
it's like a gap year for people to maximize their potential,
I
whether that be
love it.
athletically or academically.
Academic.
And
And
um,
what you have exhibited, man, was again a drive I saw in your mother, I see in your siblings. This is where I need to go, and so if this is what I got to do, this is what I got to do. So you go to North Dakota, you know, you go to
mhm,
Tennessee, you go to North Carolina. You're playing
mhm,
professional ball. You played professional ball in Albania. Now I remember when we heard that there was an earthquake over there. We're like, okay, somebody needs to go get Julian. They just had an earthquake over
yeah,
there. That was like your first week or something. There, real early in the
yeah.
process. And so,
Mhm.
man, what was it like playing professional basketball in another country, on another continent? I mean, were there days you pinched yourself and say, okay, there's a lot
Yeah.
about this that's unfamiliar, but I'm playing basketball and I'm getting paid. And how
Mhm.
many people in the world can say they've done this? What did that feel like?
It was so surreal, and it was like I said, it was surreal because I was always the goal of mine. Like that was always the driving factor. Like I was like, I want to do this. I wanted to do it for myself, but it was also a lot of people who never thought that I could reach that level.
Right.
And it's a lot of people who didn't think I could reach um the previous levels in the milestones and achieve the accolades that I had just because for whatever reason, you know, they wrote me off, or maybe because they seen things or didn't see things that I saw in myself. Um, and just getting to that level and accomplishing a lifelong goal and dream of mine was just surreal. And it was an experience, you know, it was pros and cons, but everything that I've been through and endured in my life prepared me for that journey, you know, just kind of like what you alluded to very briefly, like being somewhere else and being uncomfortable. I can relate that back to being in Baltimore and the character
Right.
that felt, you know. So everything that happened for a reason. Each stop in my journey, whether it be Baltimore, North Dakota, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, like I learned things about myself and I grew in each one of those destinations, and it prepared me for what's next in my basketball career, and it just developed me as a man.
Hey everybody, this is Tyler, the podcast manager of Black Like Me. Just wanted to jump on and share 2 quick things about Black Like Me. Number 1, Patreon. Patreon is an opportunity for you, if you like our show at all, if you enjoy it, if you want us to keep creating this content, to be able to support us financially and to help us do that. For as little as $2 a month, you can join our team. We also have some other higher tiers with some more benefits if you join. So please go to patreon.com/blacklikeme to hear more. Number 2 is that if you are interested in having Dr. G speak, if you're interested in him doing some consulting for you, your organization, anything like that, you can go to alexg.com/contact and you can fill out a form to be able to see how you might be able to bring Dr. G to your business or your community. All right, back to the show.
You know what, Julie, I'm so proud of you. And again, not just because of your athletic accolades, although I got to say, I'm proud you have your own page on ESPN. Like there's an ESPN page with your stuff on it. They got all these things about you. I mean, you have an agent. Like you can't just get on the plane and say, I'm going to go to Albania and I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I mean, you have an agent, all of these things. But man, when you were little, I can remember hearing your mom say, you know what, Pastor G, I'm making some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because all the years I missed this part of life by being addicted and in the streets and doing stuff, that my joy is packing lunches for my babies and spending time with them and making sure they're getting their homework and stuff done. So I love you all's story because there are young men, Julian, who are not pursuing their dreams because their moms was in jail, their dad wasn't there, he was in jail, this was going on. The Hunt family, the Walters family, y'all don't look at stuff and say, well, this glass right here is half empty. I mean, you just say everything we've been through motivates us to move ahead. And Miss Jackie, when you started working for me at Nehemiah, we give you your first full-time job. I said your first legal job. We give you your first legal full-time job where they took taxes out and stuff. But to see you as a homeowner, vehicle owner, you have your license. I remember when you got your associate's degree, you were on a big bulletin board on the belt line from Madison College. We called the MATC back then. It's Madison College. You up there on that big board. Then you got your bachelor's, and then you got your master's, and then you just recently accepted or named or whatever the process is to have your own license. What motivated you to say, I'm turning this around? I'm more than the mistakes I've made. I'm more than my rap sheet. And these babies deserve the best of me. They deserve more of me than the streets. What made you just say, I've had enough. I am now Jackie, the mom?
Well, I used to think I was a mom. When I had Romy and Sugar, actually, no, I didn't. I was a good caregiver with Romy and Sugar. Geneva didn't have that early on. But basically what happened was my addiction, I lost my mom in 93. And that was the begin of the spiral to the bottom so hard that I didn't have nowhere else to go but come up. It led me to prison, and took my babies away from me. Like this foster care thing, like when the system took custody of my children from me and determined that I was unfit and couldn't care for them, that was something I couldn't wrap my mind around, how another mortal person could determine that these were my babies, came out of my body, and it is my responsibility to take care of them, and I get to do that the way I see fit. That's the message that had always been said. I brought you in, I take you out. So I had all that going on, and I just couldn't fathom that thought. But the bottom line was they did it. And when I went to prison, that too contributed to the downward spiral. And when I went to prison, I just knew that I was so much more and so much better than what my life had become. I just being out here didn't know how or where to start. And I prayed that, I asked my aunt one to get my babies out of the system. I knew I was going to prison, and she agreed to do that so that I could do my time and not have to worry about them. And I prayed going in that God wouldn't allow that time to be in vain, that I would get what I needed to get out of there and come home and have my children back and be the woman and the mother that he had created me to be. See, one of the things that happened in prison also was that I had accepted Christ in my life at 12, but nobody ever ushered me into a true personal relationship with him. And at that dark, deep moment in my life in segregation, they call it quarantine when you first get in, for the first 48 hours, that's where he met me, in those first 48 hours. And that's where I began to establish and try to learn more about God and have a relationship with him based on who I was, because I took those things that the word said literally. Like he knows my name, like, he'll never leave you or forsake, like all those. I just had to keep believing in that stuff. My brain was like concrete like that. There was no gray area. And as I grew, the gray area began to fill in. And I talk about that in my book. But my children were my life. They say in recovery, you can't get clean for your babies or for anybody. You got to want to do it for yourself. Well, I wanted to do it for myself because I saw them as a part of me, and they deserve to have a mother. And my mom had just passed away, and I used her as my higher power that was looking down and guiding me, because now she can see all these things that I do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she didn't raise me for that. She, like she deserved way more from me than I was allowing myself to be. And so like I ain't had no place else to go but up. And I just kept doing the things that were unfamiliar because I knew what was behind me if I went back. And every time I got to one of those crossroads, I chose the path that I hadn't followed.
Wow.
Taking my chances there because I knew what was on the other one.
Come on now.
And they just kept working out. Now, like all of them ain't been a walk in the park. It wasn't like an easy trail, but I was
Y'all did it.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that was the biggest contributing factor to me being able to be successful as a mom and to embrace that was during that time, my aunt eventually gave my older 2 kids up. She kept my baby girl, that was 2 at the time, because she was easy to love on. But you got these, older kids who missing their mom, who like got this trauma that nobody's addressing.
Right. Nobody's addressing.
And they acting out, right? So she gave them to their father in Milwaukee, unbeknownst to me. But then when I found out he had them, I was cool with that too, because it was their father and they weren't in the foster care system.
Right.
So that was cool. But I didn't realize what my kids were going through being, the stepchildren in his household or whatever. I understand that now, but I didn't then. I just thought everything was good. And I think I needed to believe that in order to stay on the path, to stay on the course, right?
Right.
But when I got out and I was in my halfway house with Julien, I could only have him. So I bonded with Julien. My maternal instincts just came because I was a good mother, a good caregiver to Romy and Sugar. My mom had modeled that,
Right.
My babies got baths with powder all in their creases and, rubbed down with Vaseline. I talked to them in the little babyish voice,
Right.
like we just, we did the itsy bitsy spider. We did patty tape. Like I dressed them well. They were always, good and well groomed. And then that just came back to me with Julien, right? Yeah. And so I got out of MIP and then I kept trying to get visits with my kids. And he just kept blocking, for whatever reason. He just wouldn't bring them to see me and stuff like that. And so then I got out of MIP and went to 3rd Street. When I went to 3rd Street, I couldn't have them there either, but that was cool. I just needed another step to get my sobriety under my belt and things like that. And I did. And then he still wouldn't let him visit, right? And so then I got...
Being the kid's father, being Romy and Sugar's father.
Yeah. Then I got Section 8 and I was able to get an apartment, which Diane and Terry co-signed for because I had a, eviction from my drug raid.
Wow.
It was, this a lot, but I remembered that I had full custody of my kids before I left. And for whatever reason, I was telling my social workers that, and they said, well, go to the courthouse and see what happened, right? So I went up there and the papers in Dane County still said that I have sole legal custody of my kids. So I took those papers and I went to Milwaukee and I went to the police station and I told them I'm coming to get my kids because their father won't let me see them, blah, blah, blah. And I got papers that say I have sole legal custody. Now, they had did something in courts, him and my auntie, to give him placement. But I never was served anything, right? So I'm acting on my own ignorance, really, because I didn't know. But they had did something, and he had received placement and guardianship. The bottom line was I ended up taking Sugar and bringing her back. And Romy was like, I can hang. I can stay here. He don't treat me like that. They don't treat me like they treat Sugar. You just get her and go. So I staged a runaway.
Wow. Come on, Mom.
I should stage a runaway. And, and I brought her back to Madison. And then, of course, when he came home from work that day, because I had sat there and waited outside their home for like all day long. He kept telling his daughter, his other daughter, who was contacting him, telling him I was there, that he was coming, right? Never came. I went back to the police station. The police never came. I just said, okay, sugar, just run away. I had her run around, like she was running away, run around the block, and my girlfriend was there and picked her up. And then we got halfway down the road. I was like, you know what? I don't want to implicate you in this. Get in this car, sugar. So she got in the car, and I just said, don't worry, baby. We going to be good. And she was terrified, and we came back. He sent the police to my house. But the part that made me believe in me was their belief in me. They wanted to come back to me.
Yes.
I thought life had been so good for them with their father. He got this house. He's this prominent man in the community. He's all these things. I just thought that they wouldn't want to give that up, but they did. And then it did. And as soon as the courts decided that the police said, well, we're not going to get involved. He was telling them I'm a drug addict. I'm this, I'm that. The police came, searched my house. They said, we don't see no evidence of anything you're saying, so we're not going to touch this. The kid says she wants to stay here. You guys fight this out in family court. So they left her there. He wouldn't let me get her records for school for months and months and months till finally he did. Like after enough courts and him having to leave work and stuff like that, then they found him in contempt because he didn't come to the court hearings. He just said, fine, she could have her, right? So he signed her back over to me or whatever. And that same weekend, I get a knock on the door, and guess who it is?
Romy.
Romy, like, how did you get from Milwaukee to Madison? Like, he was like, I couldn't take it no more. I couldn't take it no more.
But he ran away.
And so he ran away for real.
And traveled 75 miles to Madison.
Exactly. I'm like, Romy.
How old was he?
Romy had to be about 14, 15 years old then. So if we talking about 95, 96, no, he's 16. He's 15, 16 years old. And he had his cousins here, like my girlfriends, and they grew up thinking they was cousins. Sure. So they done all reached out, and Romy then got himself to Madison. He like, I can't take you no more. We go through the same thing. Police come. They say no evidence. And he tried to get in Romy's head because Romy was a basketball star, Rufus King back then.
Mm-hmm.
He had Washington. Washington, right.
Milwaukee,
he had a big career there. And he left it. He wanted to be with me. I didn't realize the impact and the severity of the consequence that he had made, of the action that he had taken, but wow. I do now. And when I look back, if they hadn't wanted me, you know what I'm saying? I had Julien, and I had Julien, but I couldn't be complete without them. And so I had to get them back. And then even my aunt, who had now had Geneva, and Geneva had come to love them, she really didn't have a whole lot of memory of me because I was an addict for all those first 3 years of her life, 2.5 years. But she knew I was her mom. You know what I'm saying? I had visited her. And once I got my place and I was in this relationship, I wanted my whole family back together. And so my aunt had said, she would never keep her away from me. She would just hope that I would let her stay in the stable home that they were providing for her there. And in my head, I just couldn't. I couldn't. And so at 6, I went and brought Geneva back home too. And those were some really hard, them first months were really hard because she cried for them. Yeah. Her attachment was to them. Yeah. And she was always jockeying for a position.
Sure.
And, she was always jockeying for position. And then eventually, through the church, she found her space and found her place. And then she had these amazing God sisters and godparents, Roxanne and Dwayne and Mimi and Isis and all, and then she just got love from everywhere. And finally, my family was good until I graduated. And I wanted this thing I had 4 kids by somebody. And that's what I used to say. I had 4 kids by somebody. Can I just have a baby with someone? And
Sure.
me and John were supposed to be forever. And, you know, we had Jeanette. I was 39 years old, almost 40.
I remember that.
But I wanted that experience with him. And guess what? I still didn't get it. I talk about that too.
In your book?
About, you know, moving before God. You know what I'm saying? Doing what I want to do, hearing what I want to hear, and things. I just have to be really honest about some things, and it freed me. You know, it freed me to forgive me, freed me to forgive him, and freed me to be able to live and to love my babies, all of them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's powerful.
Yeah.
Ms. Jack, I got a suggestion for you.
Okay.
When you get asked to do keynotes,
Uh-huh.
addresses, because I've seen you tell stories and give speeches, I think you should require people to get you a comfortable chair.
Okay.
I think you should get a mason jar of ice water, and I'm serious as a heart attack.
Okay.
And I think you need to tell stories. I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. You are a good storyteller.
Okay.
You are good because you draw people in, and I saw pictures. I saw Geneva. I saw that house. I saw you in front of Jaquisha and Romy's dad. As you're telling it, I saw those images. I saw Julien. I saw you having those visits on Wednesday afternoon. So keep that in mind. When you're doing stuff, don't bend to what people want to have done.
Okay.
There are folks who have made millions on radios. Garrison Keillor, out of Minnesota, telling stories on public radio. He's a storyteller. You're a fantastic storyteller.
Okay.
And because you bring people in, and then they see their stories in yours. Unfortunately, I got to jump off here. But Jack, let me ask you this: what's your mom's first name?
Mary.
Mary. That's right. I forgot that. And Jack, I just think it's so wonderful that your children in foster care and the business you created is called F.O.S.T.E.R. That you're wanting to give people the best and the benefit of the doubt through your services that you and your children receive, so that you all could be reunited. And I love your story, not just because you bounce back, but because you give back. A lot of people have bounced back without giving back, but you have bounced and given back. And I appreciate that. And so, Julien, I just want to ask you, give you just a few seconds. Anything you want to say about just the pride you have in your mother? Again, this is playing for Mother's Day. Just any message you want to have just regarding the pride that you have in your mother as we end this interview?
Yes, I think that I have a tremendous amount of pride, admiration, and love for my mother. I think our connection is special, and I think deeper than the love, what we have for each other, is a level of respect and appreciation for each other. And what I mean by that is growing up, you know what I'm saying? Somebody telling you could be whatever you want to be, and telling you to chase your dreams and pouring into your life is one thing. But when somebody's telling you those same things and they going to work every day, then they coming home and working overnights on Saturdays, then making sure you get up and go to basketball games on Sunday morning or Saturday morning, making it to all your football games, and are telling you these things, and also showing you that they believe in these things and investing in you, that creates that love and appreciation. And that's what also made me feel like I have to, you know what I'm saying, get this thing right and just live my best life and try to be the best person I can be, so that type of work doesn't go in vain. And when you respect your parent and your parent respects you, it just becomes something beautiful. And I'm sure my mom has appreciated what I've done with her sacrifices as well. And so because we have this respect and admiration for what we have done and what we have meant to each other in our lives, it just grows into a great sense of pride.
That's beautiful, man. That is really, really, really beautiful. And so, Jacquelyn and Julien, thank you all so much for being on the show. This is going to be a very, very special Mother's Day issue. There will be a link in this podcast to Jackie's book, Redeemed Through Recovery. I want you to buy it. And not just so that you can give a copy to someone, but if you want to understand someone who you love, who's been addicted, there's a story behind that. So the book will help you to be more loving and kind towards that individual. So the link is here. Buy it. Buy one for someone you know. Regain your trust that you have in someone. Just because they broke in that trust and made mistakes doesn't mean that they're not trustworthy. And Jackie certainly has proven that. And so I want to dedicate today's very special episode to two folks. One, to Mary Hunt. Jackie, who is your mother? I want to dedicate this episode to her for the example of motherhood, vaselining, and baby powdering. Babies, a small talk with them. And I want to also dedicate this episode to my own mother, who is still living, who just turned 80. She's in a memory care facility, and I remember enough for both of us. And there's a lot of change that happens when you have Alzheimer's, but one thing that has not changed: she is still my mother, and I am still her son, and she still strengthens me and encourages me and makes me laugh. So I want to dedicate this episode to Verlene G., my mom also. Julien and Jackie, thank y'all so much for making this special. Y'all have warmed my heart. You made me laugh. Julian's done you proud by knowing those icebreakers. You need to, Geneva and them.
All of that sugar on them grits.
Oh, that's what it is, on the sugar and grits. And Julien, at some point, man, we got to sit down and talk on the show just about, I'd love to do a show with young Black men and aspirations and their dreams and how you plan to get this. So I want to have you back. But for folks who want to find out more about your career, there will be links in this episode also about Julien's basketball career. So you can just see some of his ESPN stats and those kinds of things. So listen, Black Like Me listeners, we provide these great programs so you can do more than just listen and hear a good story, but we want your perception about the ability of humanity we want it to be changed, because then your response to humans, to your fellow human beings, can change as well. So subscribe, lean in, share this, repost it, tweet it out. Let someone know that you've listened to it and it's touched your heart. And if you click the Patreon link and decide to support us at the grits level, $6 or more, I will shout your name out on the air. I will make you famous just like that. But thank you so much for being a part of Black Like Me. It is my pleasure to continue to bring these powerful conversations to you. So lean in, be changed, and make the world where you live a better place. Have a great day.
Ooh, Black Like Me, yeah. I want to thank Corey Saffold for creating the music for this podcast, my podcast manager, Tyler Nyland, engineer and editor, Eli Steenlich, my editor, Jeremy Holiday, and a special thank you to WORT Studios, where we record Black Like Me. Ooh, Black Like Me.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. You can find out more about Dr. Alex G's amazing work at www.alexg.com. Black Like Me is sponsored by the generosity of the Human Family Unity Foundation.